Welcome back, everybody. We're in the movie room / game room, and I'm going to talk about these two PlayStation 5s that I tried to make a repair on and explain to you some things that went right and some things that went wrong. I had two friends at work reach out to me and ask me if I could make a repair on these PlayStation 5s. And since I had never done it before, I figured I'd give it a shot, disassemble these, and try to repair their HDMI port. It seems to be a common issue with the PlayStation 5 because they sell a lot of kits for this repair, replacement HDMI ports. And for whatever reason, they may go bad internally, may get some bad pins. They may come loose from the board. So I figured I'd give it a shot since I've made repairs on our Xbox before and I've made repairs on our Nintendo Switch. I figured I had nothing to lose because these two PlayStations are no longer working for both of these friends of mine, so really had nothing to lose. They did supply me with a kit here. I'll try to show you this part number here. And there's plenty of different models for this kit out there. This specific kit, if you can see that part number, if you wanted to pause now, it did come with 4 replacement HDMI ports, the tools to do that repair, the different screwdriver bits and everything, and some things you may need to pry that board up and get everything out of the way. Since I had never really done this type of repair before, I did watch a few tutorials on how to do that. I was going to make my own, try to see if it's something you can do at home, and try to explain some of the tips and tricks that I would learn in doing this as well. Let's talk about what went right with this repair. I only took apart this unit right here. This is the non-disk drive PlayStation 5. This one is a disk drive version, and I did not disassemble that one. On this one, I was able to take it apart without any issue. Like I mentioned, I did look at some other tutorials to see exactly what I was going to have to get into here since I had never taken a PlayStation apart. One thing I will mention, though, I have taken our Xbox apart, and it appears to be a little bit more user-friendly for repairs than this PlayStation does. The PlayStation has a lot of screws, and when you take apart some of the parts inside there, some of those screws are very specific as to where they go. Again, you're going to have some of that on an Xbox as well, but this one I found a little bit more particular for some of the body screws as you go to take that apart. And there's like 5 or 6 different lengths, and some are threaded, some are not threaded for fine thread to go into, say, a metal part of the board. There's also a ton of screws inside this thing that hold one piece of the metal on there, the little silver metal on there, and I'll show some pictures on the screen as I'm talking about that. And those, the good thing about those, they were all the same length, so it wasn't as hard to get those mixed up. But I will say the plastic body screws are something you would really have to pay attention to. But it did go correct. I was able to disassemble that. Inside there too, I was able to clean inside the board and clean the fans and things. You're going to find a lot of things that kind of come internal to that. Great time to clean that up while you're in there. I was able to get the HDMI port, the damaged HDMI port, off of the board relatively easy using a heat gun method. So if you're trying to get that off, I would recommend using the heat gun method from the bottom side. You go kind of from the bottom side of the port. And I'm going to put some pictures up that shows a little bit exactly where this thing is once you get this thing disassembled. So you're going to see some of those pictures kind of cycling through. So I was able to do that. I was able to get the old port off, and it came off relatively quickly. It wasn't too hard to get that off, but you do have to have a very good heat gun. And I would try to recommend using something that's very concentrated on where it's going to put the heat. So starting out with some of the things that did not work, because this video is more about what to avoid, what you may think you're getting into, and what you may want to just outsource or just go ahead and decide that you're not going to be able to use the PlayStation anymore if your HDMI port has failed. One of the very first things was trying to get all of the old solder out of the mounting positions for that HDMI port. And I'm going to show you some of those pictures kind of coming up on the screen. I didn't have, I would say, they have like a wicking copper to get some of that solder out, and I did not have that. I did try to use copper wire to do that. I kind of frayed some copper wiring and tried to push it into those holes and heat it up with both my soldering iron and also by just trying to use the heat gun and kind of soak up some of that old solder. The two most important areas are going to be the original grounding pins, I think is what they call it, or the mounting pins to the board, and it's the two outside edges on the HDMI port. And I'm going to show those pictures on the screen, circling kind of what I'm talking about and where it was a little bit difficult for me to get the old solder out. Even trying to reheat those areas and put the new HDMI port on was not working out for me. So that's something I'm going to tell you. It's hard to do. You may want to look into getting some kind of wicking copper. If you're not used to those kind of things, it's probably not going to work out for you. The other things for this repair I would say to avoid, there is a few little, I think they're diodes they mention, are those little tiny little microchips close to this HDMI port. I did take some precautions and I actually put aluminum tape over those so I would not be heating things up that I didn't want to replace or didn't want to fall off the board. That did work for me, but if you're not paying attention to that, these things are little bitty and will fall off the board with any kind of heat or if your soldering iron comes anywhere near them. So I would really kind of stress you can really damage that board beyond repair, even if you got the HDMI port on there. So definitely think about that too. Some of these areas on the board, you're not going to be able to tell what's going on without some type of a magnifying glass or without a microscope. So that's another thing I did not have. I had a magnifying glass that I could put over to look closely to the board, but a lot of these guys doing the repairs, they've got some type of microscope, and it really would help to definitely inspect the pins and to also make sure you didn't knock any of these little tiny diodes off the board. I'll show you those pictures to kind of explain which ones I'm talking about. In my case, like I said, I did put some aluminum tape over it. Some guys recommend putting a copper tape so they can avoid the heat and they won't move off the board. But that's something that you're going to run into. I didn't run into it, but the difference between having a magnifying glass or a microscope would make a really big difference, being able to see what's going on when you try to solder that port back on. Last but not least, I would say as far as difficulty that I experienced was when I tried to solder the new port back on, I really didn't have a smaller soldering iron. And I have a pistol grip soldering iron and I do have a handheld. The problem with my handheld, it was not getting warm enough. So if you've got some type of a handheld soldering iron, it just did not get warm enough to reheat any of the solder or to remelt any of the solder. And then my pistol grip style, it got hot enough, but I did not have a very fine tip in order to get into these areas that I'm talking about. And when I mention a fine tip, you've really got to have a really pencil point tip to get in there to do any real soldering. I did try to use flux in these areas and it worked some, but it really didn't hold the way I wanted it to. I did eventually get the HDMI port to attach to the board and it wouldn't come loose. So I felt like I had a really good connection there. The main issue after that though was all of the pins on the back. I want to say there's 10 or 15 pins that actually have to go from the HDMI port to the board. Biggest issue with that was it's hard for me to see that all the pins lined up, and that's where that microscope kind of comes in. And I really think that I had soldered almost all the pins together. I probably used too much solder, again, because I couldn't see so deep in that area, because these pins, when I mention these pins, I'll try to show you that on the pictures right now. These pins are very small and they're very tiny. So I think I bridged the pins when I did try to solder that back together. I tried to clean that up several times. I tried to use the heat gun method. I tried to use the flux and try to get it to move in the area where it needed to. But all in all, when I tried to start this PlayStation back up, it did not fire up. I had no video signal. It did power back on, but it did not give me any video output. So the last part of this video, just to kind of close and explain that it did not work. You know, a lot of people, like I said, are going to show you these repairs. And again, if you have that certain skill and you've got those tools, you've worked on these processor boards before, you can probably get this to work. If you've got that expertise, I would say you're definitely going to have a microscope. You're really going to have a precision soldering iron. You're going to have some of that copper, I think they call it like a copper gauze, to remove the old solder. You're going to have some experience in this area. Otherwise, you're really going to have to outsource this kind of repair. I really wish I could have a better video for you to explain that everything worked out, but I thought it was still important to explain to you some of the things that I had experienced during this repair. If you're not at a certain level of a technician to do those kind of repairs, and obviously I'm not, it didn't work out for me. So you can find these kits pretty cheap to do these HDMI port repairs. But again, if you don't have that level of expertise, I really recommend bringing this to a computer repair shop, finding maybe a PlayStation repair shop, having them complete that for you. The only other thing I would say would be to try to find a full replacement of the motherboard. Bad thing is those are expensive. They're probably around $300, $200. And if you're buying a used one, you don't know if they already have a damaged HDMI port. So it's going to be very difficult to kind of justify repairing this PlayStation 5 unless you've got something on there, saved on there that you want to be able to extract. But for my opinion and my expertise level, I would recommend sending these things out and having somebody do the HDMI repair for you. Again, if you have the level of expertise, certainly go for it. If you really just want to try it and say, I've got nothing else to lose, no problem, try it. What's the worst that's going to happen to you? It doesn't work out. You're going to throw this thing out anyways. Hopefully both of these guys can take these somewhere and get a completed repair better than I was able to do for them. I just figured, like I said, I'd share with you my experience, what happened, because I was promising with a video that I could do a repair or at least explain to you this repair, but I was not successful. Hopefully this information was useful or helpful for you, and if it was, please subscribe and share, and that's to the point.